Hey, how you doing, guys? My name is Artie, the cigar guy, and I am here to do another episode of, drumroll please, Frankengar. That's right. But today is an episode like no other. Are you fucking ready? Because I'm about to blow your fucking mind. So, you might be wondering, what are the two cigars that Artie will be blending today? Well, a couple of people do know that today I'm doing a Davidoff and a Partagas. But, boy, do I have a surprise. We're not doing just any Partagas and any Davidoff. Today, I shall be unraveling my one and only Cuban Davidoff. And not only that, now, mind you, this cigar is minimum 1991, but it could be from well before that. Alright, this thing cost me $150. Now, we're not done. The next cigar is a Partagas. What do I have here? That's right, my pre-embargoes. Now these cigars are from 62. So, that's right. I'm going to be fusing a Cuban Davidoff with a Cuban Partagas. And both of these cigars together equal to about 80 years of age. Y'all fucking ready for this shit? Let's begin. Alright, we got the two stogies. Obviously, like if you've been watching these videos, you know how they begin. First, we take off the bands. Boom, the Partagas band is off. Next on, we move on to the Davidoff. That was quick. We got them both off. Now it's time to moisturize. Take the paper towels, set them down. Once we set the paper towels down, we take our spritzer and we give these cigars a bit of a spritz. Once we do that, we roll them around just to make sure the moisture spreads across the whole wrapper. And then what we do is we put them all together, cover them up, an extra little spritz, and we let them sit. Now, once they're done, chop, and we are ready to try to take off that wrapper. So, as you can see, we're going to begin with the Davidoff. Take the Davidoff, look for the wrapper. Luckily, this time, I did not have a problem with either cigar. It was fairly fast. Even though we got this sped up by 2, you can see I was having no trouble whatsoever. And wow, that is a pretty nice wrapper. Gonna give it a little bit of a spritz. Gonna put it down, spray the other side, and we are good to go. We can begin on the binder. Come on, Artie, taking a goddamn time with that wrapper. Are you ready? Okay, there you go. Now we're getting started with the binder. So as you can see, I'm just doing the same thing, looking for the seam. It doesn't take me too long at all. Boom, pow, there it is. Comes off easy as fuck. And I'll be honest, I was quite surprised for such a small cigar, just how big the binder and the wrappers were. And to be honest, that does help us out immensely later on. So right now I'm just doing a little bit extra maintenance on both of those, and now we're ready to dig into the filler. Even the filler comes off pretty easily. As you can see, I take it apart. You can pretty much distinguish the darker, the medium, the lighter tobaccos fairly easily. So as you know, the Davidoff really has very few problems. Boom, we got the wrapper, the binder, the filler. Now we can move on to the Partagas. So we gave that bad boy a chop. Now it is time to clean up the station a little bit. Once we cleaned up the station, we can go ahead and start trying to unravel that wrapper. And again, same as the Davidoff, doesn't really take me too long at all. Boom, boom, pow, and there we are, coming right off. And good to go. there we go. Have a nice Cuban wrapper. Gonna give it a nice spritz of ditz, and we're good to go. Other side, give it a spritz of ditz. Cover it with the paper towel, and we are done with the wrappers. Let's take that binder off now. Okay, again, nothing crazy. Came off pretty fast. Unfortunately, though, it did come off in like pieces, so that binder is pretty much shite. I don't know what to tell you about that. I guess it's because it's old. It doesn't matter, though. I still humidified it, and we'll see if we can make it work. Now that we took off the binder, we clean up our station, and we're ready to play around with the fillers. As you can see, they also come apart pretty easily. So far, as far as disassembling the cigars, other than that binder that was fucked up, we were fairly successful. And there you go, the broken down Partagas. Not bad at all. So what I'm going to do now is just put aside the binders, the wrappers, okay? Maybe I might give them a little extra humidification because they're going to sit for a little bit before I begin playing around with the fillers. As you can see, the first thing I'm doing is just taking one binder, putting it on top of the other, just so they kind of give each other some moisture, clean away the excess tobacco. And now we're ready to take all the filler and blend it together. So first thing I do is separate the lighter tobaccos, the medium tobaccos, the darker tobaccos. Then I take the dark tobacco, I put the medium tobacco around the dark tobacco, and then we just pile the light tobacco around the dark tobacco. That's the best way to do it. You want the light tobacco on the outside for the simple reason that it will burn better that way. If you do have the dark tobacco on the outside, it will not burn that good because darker, oilier tobacco does not burn that well. Now, as you guys can see, this is me, like, literally, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm just trying to work something with this wrapper that's ripped in 3 pieces. Excuse me, binder that's ripped in 3 pieces. As you can see, what I end up with is not really anything that you can consider a legitimate bunch, but what I had to work with kind of sucked. But luckily we have that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Davidoff binder, and that will save the day. Okay, give it a bit of glue, and we are rolling, baby. Give it a little roll, give it a little roll. It's looking pretty good, feeling pretty tight. Very, 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 very nice. A little bit more glue, and I think we're almost done. A little bit of roll there, and boom, look at that thing. Yeah, not bad at all. Now, let's put this bad boy in the mold. One slice, and out comes the mold. Now, guys, you might call me a cheap ass, but this is some precious ass tobacco. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, and I will collect it into a plastic bag to use later to make some really, 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 really tasty cigarillos. So you might be saying, hey, look at this cheap ass bastard, but I don't care. That's some good ass short filler, so why wouldn't we use it? Now we have our bunch and we have our mold. Let us throw the bunch in the mold. If you guys watched my other videos, you already know the process. We toss it in, we close it, and we let it sit. After we let it sit, we open it again and we flip it. That's it. Simple. There you go. We let it sit for a little bit. See, it's gone nice and straight. We take it out, we flip it. All right, close it back up. Just gotta tighten it up a little bit. Close it back up, and it's going back in the mold. Now we are good to go. Now once we take it out, it is ready. Now what happened is the end was very, 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 very loose. Both ends were actually very loose. It was very difficult to roll with that tobacco, and that is actually why this particular cigar ends up being so small at the end. So as you can see, I take out, first we have the Partagas wrapper. I'm cleaning it up just a little bit before I start rolling it up. I'm just trying to figure out what is the best way to approach this wrapper. Okay. And as you can see, I kind of figured something out. Not really. There's the glue. Apply a little bit of glue, and we are off. And here we go. Now, I gotta say, working with these wrappers from these companies is quite fun. I actually really, really enjoy it. They're already pre-cut, by professionals. So doing this Frankengar thing has actually really taught me how to, work with wrappers even when I'm not just taking apart cigars, preparing my own wrappers. That's what I mean. So now I'm putting on that wonderful Davidoff wrapper. So we roll it up a little bit, give it a nice little, just so it's nice and tight all around. And then here we go, we're at the end. Give the wrapper a little cut, apply a little bit of glue, and we should be good to go. We are almost done. Now, again, what I said is that the ends of the cigar were extremely loose, so I had to very, very liberally cut it on both sides, and unfortunately, what we ended up left with was something quite short. All right, well, that Frankengar was difficult. A lot of things went wrong, and we ended up with much less cigar than I expected. It looks pretty good, and it's packed pretty well, but it is pretty small. You know what? This is when we do a little montage. Now, guys, I have to make a bit of a confession. I did a bit of a lie. Okay. Sorry. I didn't really use my my Cuban Davidoff and my Partagas from 1962. What I ended up doing is actually using a regular Partagas short and a Davidoff Dominican #2, which looks exactly like this Davidoff without the cellophane, and the Partagas I used looks just like this Partagas, except instead of being from 1962, here, you know what? I'll actually pull it out right now. Instead of using this Partagas, which is from 1962, I used this Partagas, which is from 2019. And instead of using this Davidoff, which is God knows how old, but from Cuba, I actually had a #2 from the Dominican Republic, and that's what I used when I was chopping them up. Fooled you! Some of you might be salty about that, but come on. I wasn't ready to chop up one $250 cigar and then another $150 cigar just for a video that's going to get probably like 400 views, I'm not that popular yet. But this does have a blend of Dominican Davidoff and Cuban Partagas. So even though it's not tobacco that's like 60 years old or some wild shit like that, it still has some of the finest tobacco in the world. And even though it is very, very small, it'll still smoke, and it's still rolled pretty well. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I know this one was a little bit more disappointing than the other ones, especially at the end. But if you could just share this, give me a like, that'd really appreciate it. And I can't wait to see you guys on the next episode of Frankengar. Peace out. I love cigars. Blah, blah, blah.